The money, the true dollars that go in your pocket, they are generated, that is created from offers that are written. Those are from offers that are written on the deals that you're generating, right? So it's not just enough to generate a bunch of leads, right? Like you can't just have a bunch of people who are open to possibly selling their properties. If you do not bring them offers, if you never bring them contracts that they can possibly consider from legitimate buyers who are ready to perform, you're never going to get a deal closed. So it's keeping in mind that, hey, what does your buyer list look like? How qualified are they? What kind of product are they looking for? How many deals have they bought this year alone? How many deals did they buy last year, right? What is the likelihood of them closing on another deal, right? And constantly being, looking at your buyers list and saying, hey, how can I improve this list? Because the people you're pitching these deals to, if you're constantly getting things like, hey, this is not for me, I'm not interested, or they're lowballing the heck out of you on these deals, you're not speaking to the right buyers, or the deals just suck. Okay, there's only there's two main reasons why a deal isn't selling, right? Either it's not a good deal or you're selling it to the wrong person. So keep in mind that if you would like to accelerate your success, start going from, maybe a couple deals a year to a couple deals a month. It's enhancing your lead generation ability, which means generating more leads now every month than you have in the past, and writing up more offers each and every single month than the month before. I would say, again, a good metric to be following is to be generating 2 leads a day and then writing up at least 1 offer per day from a legitimate buyer, at least, right? 2 leads a day, legitimate sellers at a relatively decent price, not just some BS where the guy wants 2 million or 20 million for a deal that's worth half as much. I'm saying legitimate sellers, and then 1 legitimate offer from a buyer who is not just yourself putting an offer on a property. Those 2 metrics, if followed religiously, right, for a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, over time, you're going to start closing a lot of freaking deals because it's very hard to screw up generating 40 decent leads a month, right? Those are decent leads and everything else is just a plus. But 40 decent leads a month plus writing up 20 offers a month, right? Again, I'm doing just based off of 20 working days, Monday through Friday, 20 working days a month. I'm not talking about weekends, which some of you are prospecting on weekends and some of you are not. So if you can stay that consistent, you will do a lot of business. But what a lot of us are doing is that we're generating 5 or 10 leads a month. If you're generating 5 or 10 leads a month and you're writing up maybe one offer a month, 2 offers a month, how much business do you actually think you're going to do? It's going to be very difficult to do any business. My team is generating hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of leads every single month. And then we're also writing up hundreds of offers every single month. So we only have to get a percentage of them to convert because you're always going to be at a certain ratio, which is why it's about enhancing both of those production numbers, right? If you're generating 40 leads a month and you're submitting 20 offers a month, even if you're only at a 5 or a 10% ratio, you should be doing a deal or 2 a month. So that will support you in doing substantially more business, right? Just those 2 metrics, along the lines of everything else, right?
A lot of people have been talking to me about VA services and all this other type of stuff. So I wanted to just quickly bring that up. So if you guys are interested in getting support in regards to VAs, I'm building a relationship right now with somebody who could support in doing that. So I want to make sure you guys get all the support you absolutely need. So if you guys are looking for VAs that can support you with, small tasks from, exporting lead lists and data collection, you name it, anything like that. If you're interested in having a VA support you in any type of way, message me privately on WhatsApp. Okay. Message me privately on WhatsApp. I want to make sure you guys, there's a lot of people who have been messaging me saying, hey, I'm trying to hire a VA. Where do I go? Who do I talk to? Yada, yada. To make sure you guys feel supported, I want you guys to make sure that you guys can reach out to me directly. I'll put you in contact with the people that I know and make sure you guys can get those people hired because it's important to realize, like, if you guys want to go from a few $100,000 a year to multi 6-figure, like the high 6 figures to 7 figures and beyond, you will need to have a team. It's very, very difficult to do that on your own. Building out the team before that, I think, is also imperative in the right way, right? Like if you're already at somewhere like around the 100K range per year, bringing on a VA for $500 a month or $800 a month can be incredibly lucrative to getting you to that 300 range because essentially what that person should be doing is any and all transaction management and all the small tasks like organization. But to go from, a couple hundred, which is like the 200, 300, or 400 range to the high 6 figures, if not 7 figures plus, you will need to build out a substantial team. Period. End of story. Doing it on your own is just going to be very, it's going to be very, very tough. And even now, where I have an average deal size or, call it commission check or fee size of nearly 200 grand on average. Even to this day, it's like, if I didn't have my team, I think it would be incredibly difficult for me to do several seven figures per year, right? It'd be very, very, very difficult, even with a very high average fee. I think it's important to realize that you really definitely need to have a team, because then you can't take all the energy and effort like I do and spend it on the activities that will actually generate those results, because you'll be too bogged down with the activities that don't produce those high results. So just keep in mind, like that's why there's several steps to team building. And at the very beginning, you might only have one VA who works a couple hours a day, right? Like they don't need to work 40 hours a week. Keep in mind, like they can work maybe 2 hours, 3 hours a day, because that's maybe what you need today in order to get to the next point, right? And obviously, as you continue to grow, you bring on more and more seasoned and more experienced individuals who work longer hours, so you can slowly grow your business. So just keep in mind that like it can start in any which way. It doesn't have to be 40-hour-a-week in-person employees. They could be a part-time transaction manager who works on a $500 per transaction fee, or a VA that you pay $500 to maybe $800 or $1,000 to work 20 to 40 hours a week, right? So it doesn't have to be, some full-time employee to start. So keep that in mind.
So when it comes to trying to get paid on these deals, a lot of times, like you said, you're trying to submit an offer, get probably the lowest that they'll accept, pitch the deal at a higher point that adds 6% to the deal. Let's say, in regards to that deal that I was sharing with you guys last week, the $4 million deal, he won't accept anything under 4, but I can maybe get a $3.8 million offer. At that point, not necessarily protected on that, but you submit an offer, and are you just always putting that 6% and letting them negotiate?
Yes, I'll always start at 6 points. And listen, if he comes back to me and says, listen, Henry, like I'll do 3.8, but I'm not paying you 6%. I'm just not doing it, right? I'm like, okay, at what price do you feel like it's fair, right? Because like, just like you want a specific number for your property, right? And where you're non-negotiable on your, or relatively not negotiable on your number, I'm the same for my paycheck. I just brought you a client who's willing to pay you a fantastic number with great terms, who I know is going to close on your property, God forbid everything's okay. What do you think that's worth? And hopefully I can get him to pay me at least 4 or 5 points. Listen, like I'm not an ass, right? Like if the guy's like really, I had another property we were negotiating, and the guy's like, I will not pay you 6%. I'm like, okay, at what price is fair, all kinds of things. He's like, I don't want to pay you anything. I want to pay you 0. I'm like, listen, I will get the buyer to, this is how this guy was. He was like, okay, so that means you want to pay, you want to net this number. So anything above that number, I can make. If I can get the buyer to pay it, I can make the number. He goes, yeah, absolutely. You get the buyer to pay whatever your commission is. I don't care. I need to net my number. I'm not willing to pay you any commission. That's fine. And listen, like I'm only going to make 3.7%. Like we're only going to make like 3.7% because that's what the buyer's willing to pay on top, as an example, based on what I told him the new number was. And that's it. Or I don't get the deal done. So I'm either going to take 3.7% off the table or 0. What am I going to take? But I've also had several situations where like I'm working on another deal. I negotiated the seller down at $2 million. I have a buyer for $2.5 million. It's like, what is that? 25%?
Well,
so I'm going to lock it up in contract.
Right?
I'm going to lock it into a contract and I'm going to double close, right? So it just depends. So like when the opportunity arises, I'll try to make more money, and when I can only make 1%, 3%, whatever it is, I'll make it. Right? Every deal is different, and every and you got to be flexible.